Greetings, everyone. Great day, great night, great then and there. Hello, this is Adam Abraham, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging with me when you do, should you do so. I acknowledge that I am really extemporaneous in my carrying out of these live stream activities. I do it when I feel like it. Okay, and uh, and actually sometimes I feel like it more so, and even when I don't do it because I'm doing something else and don't feel like doing this. And so I have not set myself to a schedule that you can kind of rely on at this time and etc. And I accept um, the consequences of whatever that means. All right, as far as building an audience and things like that. But you know something, the things that I am doing are timeless. Whenever you see it, if you choose to, it'll be timely for you when it happens. And that's something that I know because we're all connected. And quite frankly, we are bound together, I would say, by resonance, by the resonance of our hearts, by the common sense of our desires, our visions. It's that inward thing, which is really hard to quantify, so to speak. In fact, it's impossible to quantify, but it is possible to know it exists. And even in your knowing its existence and its nature, it's possible to benefit from that if benefit is your intention. So it gets down to intention, doesn't it? So I intend that great things happen to you and for you, to me and for me, for that matter, and from henceforth, so to speak. The purpose or the subject of today's visit, I wrote down there value movement through cooperation. So if you've seen some of my other videos, you may have an idea about what that's going to be about, but it may but not be totally evident as to why. Why am I on this thing? Well, it gets down to one movement. It gets to when I woke up this morning, like the idea that was in my mind was movement. And when you start thinking about movements that have occurred in history, oftentimes they were triggered by a single person. A single person, the one that comes to mind right now, at least, is Mahatma Gandhi or Mohandas Gandhi. If I can say Gandhi, you got the right one because that guy, okay? And the things that he was inclined and I'll say instrumental in changing for India and for India's, I would say, rule by the British. And he took exception. Okay. Someone has to take exception to what's happening in the moment enough to stand up, enough to speak out, enough to act thereon. And at least uh, create enough of a synergy that more and more people find themselves in resonance with, and then they also do so. This is how these things occur. This is, I start thinking about I think it was written about in Power versus Force by Dr. Hawkins, David Hawkins. It was shown in his map of consciousness how Gandhi's approach, about how Gandhi's way of being, so to speak, because it boils down to consciousness. Ultimately, everything distills to consciousness. Your beliefs, your knowledge, your hopes, your fears, your this, your that, and the other. All of those things we think is our education. We think is our the training that we receive. they are contributors. But ultimately, everything that we experience from, I'm going to say, before the first breath to after the last is a part of the consciousness and the being that we happen to be. And our experiences are formed through the congruence or the repulsion of consciousness to consciousness. These are the interactions. These are the actual votes in the election of life and the quality thereof that each one of us is contributing to every moment. Wow, that was kind of cool. Well, with all that said, talking about movements, if we're going to make a change in a direction of things, it's not about what's happening, someone else is doing, someone you don't care for, or not that you don't even care for, because you don't know them. And frankly, they don't know you and they don't care for you. So you got mutual non-caring groups. Okay. And what you're going to get is a whole bunch of striving and blaming and striving and blaming. Whereas the real changes that both groups are looking for is something that is not being expressed generally by either. That's more harmony. That's peace. That's prosperity. Okay. That's health. Those are the things that, frankly, these folks aren't, I don't see people, standing up for or speaking out for. You don't see it happening. And yet it's clearly, if people are healthier, if people are happier, if people are have more prosperity, have more abundance, have more availability to handle the things that they need to handle in the course of their lives and coming out with their life without burning themselves out, without fighting and without taking away from someone else, trying to, we talk about robbing Peter to pay Paul, etc., etc. I've seen virtually no. I've seen some because that's what we're talking about. I've seen no real ways. I've seen no real visions that point in that direction. But that's the direction that I'm pointing in. That's the direction that I want for myself, and I'm positive I'm not alone. And so the idea of a movement, since everything is in movement, all things are in motion at all times, then the issue is, how are you moving and what direction is that motion taking you? And the motion begins with our thinking. It begins with what we imagine, how we imagine things, and how we imagine, and even what we imagine is generally a product of what we have been conditioned to think is possible for us. If we haven't taken some steps of our own, because people, we come into this world, we go through, everyone in the civilized world goes through a whole battery of batterings. Okay, you go through a battery of batterings. People are jabbed with chemicals. Little boys are assaulted. Their manhood, even before they are a baby good, has been mutilated and and they've been traumatized. And we don't even think about that stuff. What? It's a tradition, right? That's supposed to be carried on. You know, by the time I was aware of that stuff, it had been done for some years. And then by the time I was a parent, I realized, oh, well, it had happened to me. It had been done that way. I allowed it to be done with my son. Excuse me. It will never happen again in any life that I'm involved with. But you don't know until you know. You do things without questioning, and you keep doing them until you start to question. When you start to seek, want something better, when you start being able to imagine something better or something more desirable, okay? And then once from there, taking steps to flesh it out, to bring it in, to do something to make it happen. That's the creative process. But the creative process comes from an impulse somewhere from within oneself, so to speak. to improve on what they are already familiar with. The ability to see a better way of doing things, a better way of being. Now, a lot of this is already known, and yet we go around acting out someone else's view of who we are and what we ought to be. And then, in the same regard, people then decide they know what it is that we need, yet they don't know us. And so it's easy to blame someone else who's doing such things and call them bad and evil and everything else. But the real question is, what are each of us doing to flesh out that spark of an inspired change within ourselves? So, one of the things that is most common to most people, not even the health situation, because a great amount of this society is w- functioning on a level that is far below health. Okay, I'll just say it that way. People are on some level that are below their actual health. And there are different stages, there are different, I'm going to say, planes of health. And so we think only, and generally speaking, in terms of our physical health, but there's emotional health, there's mental health, there's spiritual health. And unless we are connected on all of those levels, and we are aligned on all of those levels, something is going to be out of kilter. And so much of what we're talking about and going to be talking about has to do with fixing all these things, even though the focus here is going to be on one particular aspect of that. And so let me get on into it. I've talked about something called Co-op Business, and it is a platform, but it's something that will allow each of us to do, or each member, because if you don't involve yourself in it, then you can't benefit by what it can do for you, because ultimately you're doing this for yourself. But one thing that I've noticed, the human population is somewhere around 8 billion people now. And again, the vast majority of that population is on, I'm not going to say subsistence, a large percentage operate on subsistence levels. However, the main part of this has to do with the sufficiency of income to do the things that they need to do to handle their, you can say, obligations, their interrelations with other people, whether it's with their community, with their neighbors, with their friends, with their government, for that matter. And since most people are operating on a level of insufficient supply of the negotiable, I call them now, and I've come up with a new word, I call them negotiable value assets. Some people call it money. Some people think of other things in terms like gold and precious metals and stuff of any type. But essentially, they are negotiable value assets. And I say that because money, as it exists today, as it is used today, is essentially an intellectual property. Money, as we think of it, is something that we can use, we acquire in exchange for our efforts, in exchange of some service, goods, or whatever, in interacting with other people. However, what we are receiving today and what's being planned, even more so, is increasingly not at our discretion. You can work for it and work for it and work for it, and yet, even upon receiving it, you can find today decreasing discretion over how you can use what's yours, what's supposed to be yours, to use as you wish, called money. Now, some banks, for example, if you're in the crypto space and you're involved with that, some banks, unfortunately not all, but some banks won't allow a payment, a purchase rather, into the crypto space or for cryptos. They won't allow it. Your money, you decide to put it into their institution, but they get to decide whether you can use your money for that particular activity. Excuse me. Where's the reciprocity here? Do you see the opposite situation? Well, there is a reciprocity though. I'll put it there. And the reciprocity basically is to put your funds someplace else. Okay. But they are in such a smug position. And the smugness is growing. That's been the whole point of many of these videos, especially as we've talked about the CBDC, the central bank digital currencies, which are being planned and at this point in time. Whether they happen or when they are intended to happen is another story. But the fact that the activity, the interest, the energy, and all this movement is moving in that direction that's the interest, the point of interest and point of concern, unless you have an option. And so what I want to do is I'll share with you a video this past Saturday. So today is Sunday that I'm doing this right now. So it's yesterday. Every Saturday I sit in on a call. It's a Zoom call by a fellow named Greg Baldwin. He is with Smarter Than Money is the website that he created, smarterthanmoney.com. And it's for members who are in this cooperative that's referred to as co-op business. And before it was co-op business, if you listen to any of my others, it was co-op crowd. Co-op crowd still exists, it still functions. We in this Smarter Than Money group shifted over into co-op business just to keep things, I think, simple, okay, as best as possible. But that's what we did. And so, but his talks are about the reasons behind all of these things. It's not simply about making money. And for me, I think it's what I intend is that it's about changing consciousness for me. All right. And so I tend to be the one, or that it becomes the focus of my conversations, because it's about a change of consciousness. When we change our consciousness, we change all aspects of our life, not simply the money that can come to us, but the health. It's the health of our relationships. It's our levels of happiness. There's many other things that are directly related to a change in consciousness in a particular direction versus simply trying to get some money. And so I reject the conversations that are all about getting money is going to be the solution to all of our problems. It's not. If we haven't changed our consciousness enough to be something that is bigger than it can exist with or without money. First of all, your wealth is not tied to the money you have. Your worth is not tied to the money you have. But psychologically, in our society, we have objectified our sense of worth and translated into the stuff we have or the money that we have worked out and systematically worked out to receive. And yet we don't focus. We stay in our lanes. You stay in your money lane, you stay in your health lane, you stay in your this and that and the other. And we don't realize that life doesn't recognize lanes, and things that we focus on one and we forget something else. It's affected whether we are paying attention to it or not. And it's one reason why so many people are surprised at the adverse effects that their choices have put themselves into when they have just listened to quote unquote experts tell them about this danger and that calamity, etc. And they just blindly follow them without requiring truth, not requiring full disclosure. I mean, there's so many things that we have allowed to occur now. And so it becomes easy to blame someone else instead of looking at ourselves. What are we participating in? And, you could say, is it smart? So what I'm going to do here is um, I'm going to mute my music. I'm going to start up and just going to play a couple things. Greg is going to talk about digital wallets and some of the things that are important there. I will likely stop it here and there if I got something to say. And then he's going to show a video. And this video is of the beginnings of PayPal and Elon Musk. And there's a correlation here. So this video is going to cover that. I don't know, it may be 10, 15 minutes in total, but I may stop here and there as well. But we're going to cover those things, or he's going to cover them, and then me somewhere in between. And then probably I'll do a summation from there. We'll go from there. But here goes. I'll start the video. You'll start hearing his voice, and then I'll bring the screen up.
And what I want to talk to you guys about today is how we have the most perfect system become financially free without getting lucky, ladies and gentlemen.
Here I am.
One of the things I want to talk to you guys about
No, go away.
Understanding this whole process here, and that is money and who controls the issuance of money controls the government. All right. You guys may have heard me say this before. This was a quote by Nathan Rothschild. He's one of the forefathers or godfathers of the banking industry as we know it today. I want you guys to really read this statement here because I want to really bring to light what it is that we have our hands on. Who controls the issuance of money controls the government. He was quoted as saying this, you guys, in 1815. And I'm sharing this with you guys to set the stage because I want this to hit you like a ton of bricks, what we have our hands on, okay? He said, I care not what puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule an empire on which the sun never sets. The man who controls the British money supply controls the British empire, and I control the money supply, okay? These are his words, and it's so true. It doesn't matter what politician you have in office, the illusion of choice is just that's an illusion. It's all about the banking cartel, and I want you guys to understand emphasis on issuance, all right? Issuance is the action of supplying or distributing something. And that something is money in this case here. But the issuance is the supplying and distributing of something. And one of the things I want us to understand is that we overlook this and we talk about it. But the reason why this is the greatest project on the face of the planet is because for the first time in human history, we control the issuance. We have the opportunity to control the supply and issuance of money, all because of digital, more importantly, blockchain wallets, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. That's one place where I will stop in and just say, Greg is saying that we have the opportunity to control the issuance of, as he calls it, money. I call it negotiable value assets. However, this is after you have done some steps that we will go into that will actually, because each member is diverting some funds away from what they have done before or what they've tended to do. They're going to change the direction of some funds, and then and coincident with that, they are going to be inviting 3 people to do the same thing, and then helping those 3 or support those 3 in inviting their 3 who do the same thing. So what each member is doing is essentially becoming responsible for diverting a small amount of funds into this system, this co-op business platform, inviting 3 people who do the same. They're diverting that same amounts. Okay, so it's not like if you got more or etc. No, it's the same amounts being diverted into the platform, and then also assisting those 3 in getting they're 3 active. So you got 3 and then 9 more that are going to be active. And in that diversion, all of those 12 people are now cycling funds because they are all active. They are all cycling funds into the co-op system. But those 12 people are cycling funds to you every 28 days. 28 days from the anniversary of their joining. So the funds can come different times of the day or different times of the month, etc., accordingly. Now the point is, once you have your 3 and your 9 active, then you get bumped and you get active. You go into another level because those 9 are now doing the same things that you did and the people that you invited did. And so what happens is that the funds continue to build and accrue up to 10 generations. So by that time, and not even by that time, way before that time, you would be receiving a great amount in. Because when you talk about controlling assets and stuff like that, you got to have the assets. This cooperative system is how you get them. Now, but then you'll be able to do those things because it's the difference between going to a bank. And because you create this flow, an ongoing flow that comes every 28 days from each of those wallets, not just the 12, but the 27 that are joined and doing the same thing. And then the 81 after that do it. And then the 243, all of them still going a little bit going to your wallets from each one of them. This is how every one of us who does these things can now, instead of going to a bank, we each become a bank. We each create a flow that comes straight to us. And the fascinating thing, it comes from a unique collection of people. No two are the same. No two collections, no two groups of sources are the same. So that's the distinction that I wanted to put in there as in terms of being able to direct these funds.
Where we're at this moment in time. This is going to create the greatest redistribution of wealth and power in human history, and the incumbent banking institutions are scared straight. So for those of you that are new to this space and you've heard about FTX and cryptocurrency and all that kind of stuff, even though that's not what we're taking part in, we're not into the cryptocurrency trading, speculation, and investing, none of that stuff here. That's what we call gambling.
Yep.
We're talking about opening up blockchain wallets that actually controls the supply and distribution of money.
Oops, there's another place for me to step in. So when you join Co-op Business, just simply joining it, you get a blockchain wallet. You get your own Co-op Business wallet, and it is on a blockchain. And it is the latest of the latest. It's an Ethereum-based blockchain, Ethereum and Solana. If that means anything to you, it may or may not, but it's an important factor. And we'll go further with that. But just joining actually gets you the wallet. The next step there is then funding. So that's when the process starts. You receive the tokens, and now you can begin the invitation process.
So we all want money, but what we have the opportunity to do is to break up the centralized control of the issuance of money, put it into the hands of the individuals for the first time in human history. Please hear me, ladies and gentlemen. This is incredible, team. So understand this here. The digital wallet plan from big banks is just about butting heads with PayPal. So you look at even here, major banks, okay, are scared straight because of fintech companies like PayPal and others. They're looking at their bottom line. They're starting to lose revenue because people are going to digital wallets like PayPal, Venmo, and other things, right? So they're concerned about the control and issuance of money, and that's why they try to control narrative. That's why they're trying to say cryptocurrency is not a currency, which a lot of people use it as such. They want to control the narrative and say, no, it's a security or it's a commodity, because if they can control the narrative, then they can bring about laws to regulate it and keep controlling power. So we're not focused on that. We're focused on opening up of digital wallets. So look at this here. Big banks are creating digital wallets to rival Apple. Okay, Apple Pay here. Now look at this here. Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo are working on a digital wallet that consumers can use to shop online in an effort to compete with who? PayPal.
Now, the question is why? You don't think about these things sometimes because Apple has Apple Pay. Facebook was attempting to do something as well at one point in time. But these platforms, Apple's got millions upon millions of customers who are walking around with their phones. And so if they simply work out a deal um, with Visa or MasterCard, or where they just create a little space because it's all information. But you got millions and millions of people sitting there with those phones and carrying around with them. And so they're now diverting some of their funds from the bank into their Apple Pay account. They're diverting some funds into their PayPal account. In fact, PayPal worked out so well, they created Venmo. I think Venmo is a division or a subsidiary or something of PayPal. And what are people doing? Diverting some money into their Venmo accounts. Venmo has over 2 million, I think it's 2 million users. That's an earlier video we've done, but they had some billions of dollars, and the money just sits into the account. But if they're sitting in the PayPal account or they're sitting in the Apple Pay account, they're not sitting in a bank. And so this is some of the pressure that's happening on the banks as well. Well, what we're actually doing with this cooperative system is you simply open up a co-op crowd, a co-op business. We're doing co-op business. Open up a co-op business account. You get a wallet, first of all. And then when you divert a little fund, some amount of funds, and the fund, it's not a secret. It's either 99, it's around $100 or it's around $400. However, when you divert that amount into that co-op business account and then invite your 3 who do the same thing, and then assist them in inviting their 3 who do the same thing, you now establish an ongoing flow, because first of all the other members that are joining are going to be diverting a little bit money into this co-op system that is moving funds, pure liquidity, from member to member. Because when you first join, as it was with me, when you first join and divert a little money in, that $99 or that $400, I received some of it, but 9 other members also received some. So every new member is, when they make that diversion, they're sending forward funds to 10 co-op business members. Now, the thing about it, you get the tokens, you invite 3 people, you assist the 3 who invite 3 tokens, 3 people with their tokens, and now you've got 12 that are all coming toward to you. When the 27 go out, the new ones go out, then the process occurs for each one. It's a cooperative, so everyone is putting the same amounts in, and everyone is creating this circuit of return, because the system is simply sending it out. It's not judging that you've got a lot and you don't, or dude, this is a lot of funds. It simply just sends it out to each one who does those steps. This is a way that people can begin to create an inflow of income on an ongoing basis, because once you have your 3 and your 3 have 3, you are, first of all, you have a stream that's happening that's enough to satisfy the every 28-day outflow. There's an outflow every 28 days, or there is a flowing every 28 days, so that we, because look at it as a subscription. However, with the 12, with the 3 plus 3, you have more than enough to cover that. So you're not even out of your pocket anymore. But while others are now doing the same thing that we did, now your income continues to build. That's the thing on its own, whether you're actively doing this or not, because the person that invited me doesn't know anything about whether I'm doing this or not. I'm doing this because I want this, and I simply want to find three people like myself who are self-motivated in that respect. And to be self-motivated don't mean that you only care for yourself. I think that's one of the first things that people, and caring for yourself is not a bad thing. I think we have gotten accustomed to thinking that there's something wrong with that. And that's been part of the problem, that we want to prove that we care for someone else, but not ourselves. And it just don't work that way. Not positively. It works out good for the people we care for, but we tend to find ourselves in thankless relationships because we haven't put some esteem around and within ourselves so that we have some reciprocity of activity. If I respect you, you respect me. I will respect you whether you respect me or not. But if you don't, well, we will find, and experience will find some way for us to go our separate ways, not to worry. Okay. So I haven't forgotten.
So all the people that are listening right now, all the team members all across the globe, this is bigger than just making money. We now have the power, all of us in the palm of our hands, to control and own the track, as we like to say, without betting on the horses. This is all about opening up digital wallets, because at the end of the day, whoever controls the wallets also controls what kind of currency moves through the ecosystem. And whether you guys know it or not, we haven't been talking about this a lot, but even inside of the co-op wallet world, we have our own cryptos called co-op bits, right? It's ready for prime time. So that can even be a currency moving through our ecosystem. So when I'm telling you guys that blockchain is the greatest disruption, so I know a lot of people are looking at other things that they do to make money, whether it's gifting programs and other things like that. But once the blockchain hits and CBDC hits, all of the gifting programs, all of the SUSUs and things of that nature are going to fall by the wayside, because you're not going to have physical cash to move. And the centralized authorities are not going to allow you to move money through Cash App and PayPal. So what we have here is the opening up of blockchain digital wallets. We own the track. Hopefully that's starting to make sense to you guys. And so we talk about it in the overview, but we don't marinate on that and the significance of that as CBDCs are coming. I'm going to really help you guys understand that today. Okay? So blockchain, you guys, what it's doing, it's creating the greatest redistribution of wealth and power from institutions like banks to us as individuals. This is happening during our lifetime. We've never had that opportunity before. And this is because in 2008, blockchain came alive with Bitcoin and everything like that after the 2008 financial debacle, if that makes sense to everyone. So when you look at PayPal here, what we're doing is going away from the pyramidal structure. See, they want to maintain control of the issuance of money. That's the game, okay? What we're doing is, and this is the top-down control, where you get capped off here, right? What we're actually doing is we're reversing that, and we have a bottom-up business model, you guys, that allows us to become the owner, as we're able to take our wallet and mint it to the blockchain as an NFT. I'm going to touch on that because I want you guys to have a little bit of understanding of that. But you don't have to be overcook your grits trying to understand everything today about non-fungible tokens. That's what an NFT is and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really simple.
Yes, it is probably more so simple. One thing I want to say, Greg talked in the beginning about how the centralized authorities, such as a PayPal, this could be a bank, it could be a corporation, and how the redistribution of wealth. And what I want to say is this: what is considered wealth is directly related to our sense of value. The ones who create the value, um, the ones who create the value, the ones who are the value is you and I. We are the creators of value, but we have, by the time you move into the workspace, literally, You have been conditioned. I'm saying you, but I include me, we, you, whomever. It's with great, great certainty that we are included in these numbers. All right. And the point is, by the time you move into the workspace, you have been psychologically conditioned, first of all, to seek approval from someone else. We've gone through schools, primary grade school and stuff like that. We seek approval from the teacher, from the principal. Um, we try to get good grades if we care about that stuff, because they got their gold stars they want to give you. They got the different grades and stuff, and we literally gauge ourselves. We even define ourselves by the grades we got. And what are the grades? They are the grades that someone gave us according to the ways by which we showed ourselves to be amenable to the things that they told us to think we ought to be thinking. All right. Information has been given to us, fed to us, forced down our mental throats, if you will, to the point that if you were to succeed, if you were to be judged as intelligent for that matter, you needed to respond in a certain way to these particular stimuli. And they were all stimuli that the system presented to us. So your individuality, your gifts, your strengths, uh, not a factor. It's not a consideration. They haven't been nourished. They haven't been nurtured. You have not been encouraged to actually let it out, much less to have some confidence in it. In addition to all of that, people have been assaulted with chemicals after chemicals after chemicals, which anyone of any intelligence would see would alter the ultimate chemical balance of the ecosystem. We have we have children with pathologies happening early in life, of different types of names that have been given to them. And then all these stories told around about how this came about while the assault and the injections continue to occur. These are habits that are not the habits of an intelligent race. Now, the signs and cues of intelligence is the ability, one, to see it, to actually discern benefit or detriment of the activity. And the true sign of intelligence is upon seeing, being willing to see it, having the courage to look at things for what as they are, as opposed to the ways that a few people want them to be. Upon doing that, upon assessing the damage that's being done, a truly intelligent group would actually say, well, excuse me, we've got to step back from this. Is there a better way? Because the fact of the matter is, yeah, there's a better way. The better way is, first of all, is to not do this. Okay. Our immune systems, our bodies, our social system, there's so many things that are set up that are naturally, there's a natural balance to them. There's a natural dynamism within them wherein everyone can benefit. We're talking about win-win situations, as opposed to sitting up and blaming something that cannot speak for itself as the as a culprit, as a villain, and then just going in and doing a slash and burn kind of a deal on it, as though that's going to eradicate it, or taking these preemptive steps of polluting the environment inside this body on for a condition that the child doesn't even have. But we, the people who have had these children, who are barely outside of being children ourselves, we trusted these systems. We followed these professionals. And all these folks were doing basically was doing what they had to do to keep their jobs. Truth had nothing to do with these habits. The systems have got to a place where their first and foremost priority is to perpetuate the system. And the system is not living. So who pays the price of these activities? It's the living beings who follow the advice, who chase the money, if you will, the intellectual property of the money, which in fact they're putting more and more controls on, to the point that they can even start to tell you where you can spend it. So I will continue. I haven't forgotten you, Greg, and thank you for hanging in there with me.
It's just a digital representation of a paper contract. That's it. That's all. Okay. But now we have a bottom up business model. And so all digital wallets after you is going to pay you residually, if that makes sense. So that's why the white squares are all, owners here. So when people come and look at our program and they think pyramid, they're not looking at it properly, because their job is the pyramid. PayPal is the pyramid, okay? Because there's a cap there, and the only way you can climb up that pyramid is that someone has to die or get fired.
Let's see if you're an employer,
What we're doing is
employee.
creating an open-ended where everybody, like a tornado, gets split up and shot up out the top of the tornado and comes back up underneath again. And I'm gonna show you guys a visual representation of that moving forward, okay? Here's what I wanna do. I wanna show you guys this about PayPal and Elon Musk. I'm gonna show you guys 2 videos. And I want you to pay attention to young Elon Musk and how much of a genius this guy is, where PayPal was created to disrupt the banking industry in terms of ATMs, okay? And I want you to see a little bit of the business model that he used to make PayPal what it is today and catapulted him to become one of the wealthiest people on the face of this planet. And I'm going to share with you guys here momentarily why this is so significant, because we are utilizing the same type of business model moving forward. So let me go ahead and play this for you guys here real quickly. Okay, move this out the way.
If PayPal executed the plan that I wanted to execute on, it would probably be the most valuable company in the world.
So this is an ATM. What we're going to do is transform the traditional banking industry. This is a moment in my life. PayPal was not the first to do email payments. So you have to say, well, why did it succeed where others did not? Very few people understand why. When somebody has a breakthrough innovation, it is rarely one little thing. Very rarely is one little thing. It's usually a whole bunch of things that collectively amount to a huge innovation. But the problem is, because it's hard to convey a complicated thing to people, the innovator or the innovator's PR department will say, oh, such and such is the reason why it's better. This little catchphrase. And whenever we demonstrate the system to people, they wouldn't get excited about the aggregation of financial services, but they got really wowed by the fact that you could email money to somebody. And we're like, wow, okay, that's the easy part.
That one is on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. If you would.
But PayPal is really a case of where the whole viral marketing, it's really a perfect case example of viral marketing, like Hotmail was, where one customer would essentially act as a salesperson for you for bringing in other customers. So they would send money to a friend and essentially recruit that friend into the network. And so you had this exponential growth. The more customers you had, the faster it grew.
I didn't expect PayPal's growth rate to be what it was. After the first month or so of the website being active, we had 100,000 customers.
Wow.
We went from starting the company to less than 18 months later, maybe it was 14 months later or something, having a valuation of $500 million.
Right. $500 million in 18 months because of this particular business model right here, you guys. And what I want to do is I want to share this with you guys. I'm going to play this other short video. I talked about this on Thursday night when I did the overview about 2020 hindsight and basically the success of PayPal and how they came about becoming the juggernaut that they are, and how we're going to create the most valuable company in the world. I want to repeat, all of us on this line, we're going to be the ones, when history looks back and shines back on us, we're going to be the ones that are going to have created the most valuable company in the world, that being co-op, because of our understanding and educating people about this moment in history, about the fact that for the first time, because of the blockchain, we were able to take control and power away of the issuance and distribution of money away from centralized institutions into the hands of the individuals, which is you and I, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, what I'm going to say is this: I tend to defer from hyperbole. So whether this method becomes the most valuable in the world, I could care less. But I care fully about the whole process of people diverting some of their funds from the system as it is right now, because this is a small step that people can do for the return that they can get if they they persist, if they simply commit themselves to inviting three people to do what they did and also helping support those three to get their three in the same way. Now, needless to say, I'm self-sufficient. I don't require help from the person that invited me, but I did get it in the beginning. I guess I'll say this. So it is about what the individual does. It's not first and foremost. And then the system is set up though to return that effort in a really, really profound way.
And so what I want to do is I'm going to play this short video, and he's going to really break down exactly how PayPal was able to grow at the rate that it was able to grow, so that you guys understand that if PayPal was able to do it with that kind of hindsight, imagine now what we're going to be able to do collectively with this understanding moving forward. We're going to create so much success for people all around the world once we get everybody on this line understanding the value of what we possess here. So let me go ahead and play this short video for you guys here real quickly. Okay, he's going to be talking about how referrals help PayPal get to 7 to 10% daily growth. This is what we want to do as an organization. We want to get to 7 to 10% daily growth, and it catapulted them to over 100 million members. Today, PayPal has over 425 million users of their platform today. And
now, 425 million people who are dropping and keeping a few bucks here and there, or in some cases thousands, or in some cases tens of thousands or more dollars in a given wallet. And so you start seeing how, wow, this is all liquidity and all those funds, not that they are there to use the funds per se, but they are facilitating this for so many people. And this is what we are moving into with the co-op wallet. The wallet, the blockchain wallet that is central to the co-op business system is essentially your branch office, your head office, because each member is the head of their own. They become a bank. That is what's unique to this. And the amounts of deposits, because of the cooperation and the duplication and the replication of and multiplication, all of those cations going on, the amounts that will flow into your accounts, each one, are very, very significant. Go right back in here. Boop.
All because of referral, word of mouth marketing. Let me play this video for you guys so you guys understand exactly how they did it.
And did y'all think that PayPal was just going to be a simple little internet way to, or do you think it was going to turn into the major kind of transaction processing engine that it is right now?
I didn't expect PayPal's growth rate to be what it was.
Yeah.
So, and that actually created major problems. We started PayPal on University Avenue.
Oh.
After the first month or so of the website being active, we had 100,000 customers.
Really? That wow! I didn't realize.
It was nutty.
Oh wow! And how did it start? How did people just even know to use it? And I mean, obviously, both buyer and seller have to be involved.
Yeah. Well, we started off first by offering people $20 if they open an account, and $20 if they refer anyone.
Oh.
And then we dropped it to $10, and then we dropped it to $5. As the network got bigger and bigger, the value of the network itself exceeded any sort of carrot that we could offer.
So how much money did you spend with that kind of $5, $10, $20 incentive to get that critical mass going?
That was a fair amount. I think it was probably $60 or $70 million.
Oh wow! Okay, so it was a substantial. Oh, okay, so we're not talking peanuts here. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, it depends on your relative scale.
Yeah,
it's a peanut to Google.
Yes, no, that's right. That's right.
Yes, peanut.
Yes.
I mean, Like Google's got 50 billion, Apple's got, I don't know, 150 billion, some crazy amount of money. That's
yeah.
cash.
Just cash.
Yeah. So it's not an outland. Well, yeah, no, I didn't realize. I didn't realize that was
1%
so
of Google's
core.
cash would be $500 million. So that's 0.1% of Google's.
That's true. You're right. That's inexpensive. It's
Relative
nothing,
to them, it's pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, well, that's right.
And then we just did a bunch of things to decrease the friction because I mean, it's just like bacteria in a petri dish.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is try to have one customer generate, like 2 customers.
Yeah.
Okay, or something like that. Maybe 3 customers ideally.
3 customers ideally.
To happen really fast. You could probably model it just like bacteria growth in a petri dish, and it'll just it'll expand very quickly until it hits the size of the petri dish.
Yeah.
Slows down.
Okay. So here's what he's talking about here, you guys. If you notice that they spend $60 to $70 million, right, in terms of giving people one-time hit referrals of 20, 10, 5, and then went to 0. So here's the question. Here's the constant question. Why would they be willing to spend $60 to $70 million? Because they knew that they were going to make billions of dollars in cash flow. See, that's why I want to get people to understand that this is not just about making money. This is about getting all of us cash flowing because bills are residual in nature. Our responsibilities are residual in nature. So wealthy people understand word of mouth advertising and that it's not just about money, it's about liquidity, cash, and having it flow. So the platform leverages the network effect. So here, if you notice here, the more users you have equals the more value, and the more value, you get more users. So you look at what they did was they started giving people $20 referrals. We're doing the exact same thing in terms of having more users open up co-op wallet accounts. But we're not getting just one-time hits. We're talking about from this day forward on every digital asset that gets opened up, you're going to receive unavoidable, scalable residual cash flow, right? So rather than all the money going to Elon Musk and the select few billionaires that created PayPal, all of this revenue is going to come into our hands. So as more and more users came on board, he knocked it down to 10. Then he knocked it down to 5. And then ultimately it went to 0. Okay? This is the Petri dish, which is the planet that we're talking about here. And they did it by the whole concept of each customer, all right, just referring to maybe 3 people, ideally. And they weren't getting paid anything more than anyone that they personally referred. So it wasn't through stages. It wasn't a continuous line. And now PayPal has over 420 million users. Ladies and gentlemen, what I want every one of us to understand is, can you imagine what's going to happen when we get 420 million co-op wallets opened up? Do you understand how much cash flow is going to be rolling through there? Do you understand how many millionaires we're going to create as a consequence of having the hindsight being 2020? PayPal has already shown that it works. So we don't have to guess there. And their offer was a one-time hit. Can you imagine what we're going to do when we're offering people unavoidable residual cash flow from this day forward, doing something they're already doing, but in a decentralized environment, if that makes sense, okay? So our network effect is this. You guys have seen us do this over and over again, where we're simply buying the 10X, 4 core wallet activation tokens, one time out of pocket of around $400. Okay, we get 3 $20 tokens, one $280 token.
Now, I will interrupt here for a second. What Greg is basically saying, and he says, well, when the co-op system has 400 million users, that'll be nice. It will be nice whenever that occurs. The thing is, and the thing that is beautiful about this cooperative system, and you'll kind of start seeing, I think, the why of it here too, is that each member receives in the same manner. So each is doing that. They're diverting some funds for whatever reason. I'm going that direction to show the diversion. of funds that would normally go into something else, maybe whether it's into a bank, whether it's into a crypto platform or something like that, where they're trading and stuff like that, to get a 1% a day maybe. But each is doing that. They're diverting that amount, and they're inviting 3. And it was kind of nice to hear Elon Musk say, well, it's really, if we got each member to bring in 2, ideally even 3. Wow. So this system, the co-op system, is set up that you bring in 3. And the magic occurs when you bring your 3 in. And when I say you bring them in, you're inviting them, they are activating. And when they activate, that basically means they put a deposit in. And soon as that deposit is made, you receive plus 9 others people receive. Okay. So each member, when you join, you are actually sending funds to 10 people, the person who invited you plus 9 others. And so there's a sliding scale. And so I stopped this because lives will be changed way before there's 420 million members in the co-op system, in the co-op business system. When you have, let's say, in your 4th generation, let's see, so 3 is your first generation, 9 is the second, 27 is the third, 81 is the fourth, your 5th generation is 243, your 6th generation is 729. It's your 6th and your 7th generation, because the 7th generation is 2,187. Okay, and I know the other numbers too, but when these levels fill out, your life will already have been changed in amazing ways. I mean, it doesn't have to fill out to the total. 10 generations out is 59,049 people who all will have. That's your 10th level. You remember I said when I joined, 10 people got it. Well, on your 10th level, or I'm on the 10th level of someone, and that's one of 59,049 people. Well, when it turns out that someone is down there and you're the end of that, and that fills out, it would be 88,572 people in total whose co-op wallets are funneling funds to yours every 28 days. So now you start seeing, now Greg's example here, he's talking about the buying 4 tokens. And so the 3 tokens that I've talked about is what everyone does. But some people will spend a bit extra money. That's the $400, or roughly speaking, which will get a 4th token. But that 4th token is referred to as a 10x token. It's just it's a separate tool. The co-op system is 100% liquid. And therefore, it's only putting funds in and it's moving funds. There you go. Idea of movement and currency. We're talking about movements. Gosh, there's a synergy, value movement through cooperation. So we're talking about the movement of negotiable value assets from member to member. And so as new members join, the value assets, capital, currency, whatever, is put in the system and is distributed to the ones who are associated with it. Every dollar, every token that comes to you comes from someone that's connected to you, to your activity. No one, that's the way this system works in that sense. So it's because you will have made those connections, at which point in time the system will fill out, as more and more people come in, what they call your crowd stage. And so he will continue here, as I feel a little heat going on here.
Then our strategic partnership. You guys, what we want to begin to do, just because anyone that can fog up America can do it, we love that about this industry, right? That anybody can get in. That's the best part of it. But the worst part of it is that anybody can get in, right? So you're looking for people who are going to follow through on what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
You're not just looking for a body to get involved in this and hope pennies from heaven is going to fall. You're looking for 3 CEOs, 3 chief examples to others that want to build a global international bank on the blockchain. All right. This is big time stuff.
I like that term CEOs, chief examples for others. It's very nice.
This is not just a susu or a gifting hustle or anything like that. This is real business, is what I want everyone to understand. And so we're going to do that by giving a $28 co-op activation token to 3 people within 7 days or less one time. And they're going to commit to doing the exact same 2 steps, just one time. And then you guys see how the numbers go. Now, I'm not going to go through it, slow like I normally do, but it's predictable and unavoidable. You guys see all the presentations that we've been able to do to show how this works instantly and instantly continuously as everyone's executing that 2-step process just one time. Okay? And this is the network effect that we're creating, but you're not getting just $20 one time, $10, $5. You're getting continuous, predictable, unavoidable residual cash flow from this day forward. And it happens from the bottom up.
So you see that progression, and we're talking at the 10th level in terms of the numbers. It starts at 260 on your first level. Those are the first 3 that you send out, and the numbers are actually higher than this. But this is just the basic thing. It's really kind of cool when this is an underrepresentation. However, what you're talking about receiving, what the system sets up once you establish, it's like priming the pump, and once you establish that you have your 3 and your 3 are active, 3 and 3 or times 3. Once they are active, they're all funded. You will have received your funds back. Once the threes are active, then your next group, they will have received their funds back, etc. But the way the system works is that it pushes funds, it moves funds. As more people join, it's moving all those funds through the membership and the lineage of the people that invited them. And as it fills out, as those crowd stages fills out from 3 to plus 9, plus 27, plus 81, more, plus 243, plus 729. Let's go for it. Plus 6,561, plus oh gosh, I am off. I missed one. 729. Oh, okay. Here we go. 729 plus 2,187 plus 6,581. Up here is 19,683. This is 59,049. I still miss one somehow, and I'm not going to worry about it right now. But you see how that works. And there is still something else here. But
so if you notice, the numbers are going up. So like a tornado, when a tornado hits something, it sucks and pulls everything up. It's not a top-down deal. When you got involved up here, right? When you're in the line here, all right, remember, 10 other people received residually, okay, as a consequence of your one-time execution. The same thing is going to happen for you. So this isn't a stagnant pyramid. This is an ever-moving process. It's an organism that continues to move and create cash flow. So it behaves like this, you guys. This is exactly how it behaves. So when you look at this here, notice this here. You see the circling here? How it pulls up. That's what a tornado does, right? It pulls up.
The vortex.
So right now, this is what we have. The banks have this kind of control where they're at the top. They want to maintain this centralized control with CBDC. So that's why when I share with you guys what Rothschild said, he can care less about laws or anything like that. Whoever controls.
I would even take what Greg is saying a step further with the CBDCs. They are, when you go into how they are designed and the discretion that is given to the controllers, this line here can go down. This line here goes down in the sense that they can decide what you can use your funds for. Again, they're your funds, but they decide what you can use them for, where they can be spent, and where they cannot be spent. So, excuse me. And yet, the public is not hearing this stuff. Well, there are people who are looking at this; they are seeing this. But even then, the remedies that most people are saying when they are the general investment mindset. See, this is not about investment from where I sit, at least, but in the investment mindset. Well, they're talking about, well, it's time to buy some gold, buy some Bitcoin, do those things. And see, I'm not there. That's not the thing to do. The thing to do basically is to create something else. As Buckminster Fuller said, create something else that you can move to. Okay. Don't try to buy something else. People who don't have enough to buy Bitcoin now are still not going to have enough. That's not a solution for them. Here in this cooperative system, anyone can get their hands on $100 or $400 and simply talk to three other people and invite them to do the same thing. And yet, all of them who do those steps, who have three active, and then there's three are active, they now create the flow so that entire system work out. Plus, they have full discretion. And because it's on a blockchain, it is encrypted, it is private. It only shows up when you want someone to see it, or if you want someone to see it. This wallet they should be charging for it. The fact that people are not being charged up the wazoo just to join, it actually invalidates it for some people. They become skeptical. But ultimately, any negativity is one's own limitation. If you want to be skeptical about it, go right ahead. You won't benefit from it. You're going to have to access and exercise everything that's positive within yourself, which in fact, when you're looking for just the money, if you got enough of it, you don't exercise those things. That's part of our social issue. We're all in our lanes, and we figure what we're doing about this don't matter anywhere else. And that's the deception. So I will continue, and then I'll stop here soon and then just finish off, because basically I'm inviting you to join Co-op Business to do this activity, not for me, but for yourself, if this resonates with you.
Controls the issuance of money, controls the empire. And now because of blockchain, okay, we're going to be able to dismantle that. But this is what they're looking to usher in, CBDC, and control the whole grid. But this is what we have. We have the bottom up. So we're diverting billions, if not trillions of dollars out of this pyramidal structure, which is top down, okay, to this kind of structure here through our two-step process, ladies and gentlemen. This is how it works. And the beautiful thing about it is that it facilitates everybody on this planet, where everyone around the world is going to be able to have co-op wallet cash flow automation by completing two simple steps one time. And because of blockchain technology, for the first time, we're able to divert billions of, if not trillions of dollars from centralized control grids into the hands of us as individuals, where we don't need big government anymore. We don't need big business. We just need each other, okay? So we got to get over the divide and conquer thing. We got to understand that that's what they want to have happen, because as long as we're looking at each other with squinty eyes, then we can't come together. As long as we have this 6-foot rule, then we can't come together. As long as the only way we can communicate is through social media, then we can't come together. Make sense? So what we're doing within a cooperative is we're coming together as a cooperative, everybody trusting that everyone's going to do their two simple steps without quitting one time, in order for everyone to benefit and win around the world, ladies and gentlemen. That's why this is going to be the greatest project, the biggest, most valuable company to ever hit this rock, because of blockchain wallets. Please understand what the value is here. It's all about the wallets. So the best way I can put it is this. Look at the co-op wallet like it's a ballot box. So they say our vote is to a politician like what our money is to a company, right? Every day you're voting with your money. Well, we're going to vote with our money. We're going to put it into the co-op ecosystem. But the digital wallet represents the ballot box. And so imagine we have other companies, other industries a part of our ecosystem, and all they have to do is open up a co-op wallet because we're bringing hundreds of millions of customers that's in our ecosystem to their enterprise. Do you think a hotel chain may give us a discount? All right. Do you think maybe an airlines company can give us a discount? Because when you're able to bring hundreds of millions of people, all right, to them, and all they have to do is open up a co-op wallet, that gives us control in a democratic way. And that's what it's really all about, okay? So here are the building blocks that every one of us, we just kind of focus on this. Keep this thing very, very simple. And I'm going to touch on how you're going to connect with people here in just a minute, because I think people are looking, what do you say to people? We don't have to tell you what to say once you understand the value of something. Just like we don't have to tell you what to say if you want to invite someone to a party, right? We don't have to give you a script for that. Or if you want to invite someone to see a good movie, we don't have to give you a script for that. When you see something, when you have something that you think is of value, it's not what you say, it's how you feel about what you say. So
Sure.
here's the fundamental building blocks here, you guys. I'm going to break this thing down for you. We also have it in the STM back office. Same 2 steps, but I'm going to give you the real numbers. In the 10X, when you give it forward to 3 people just one time, you're investing into somebody else's dream. I want you guys to think about that $28 token. It's just like, rather than like investing in a startup company, you're investing in somebody else's startup dream. And that $28 token is giving them a co-op wallet, a ballot box, a digital asset, okay, that will continue to pay up unlimited residual cash flow. 3 people. When you do that, you're going to receive $288.75 predictably. All right? And this breaks down right like this. 26.25 out of the standard, 262.50 in the 10X. That's the total of 285.75 predictably. Now, the second step, okay, of the second step, the 2 steps in the second step is this. They also have to give it forward to 3 people one time. They're going to invest in the startup of 3 other people's dreams of unavoidable residual cash flow. And predictably, they're going to see 288.75 just like you did, right? Everyone gets paid the exact same way. There's no seniority here. But here's what happens unavoidably because of that. You now went up to 412.50. Everybody focus on your 412.50. The newest members that just joined us, focus on your 412.50. Get this done right away. Now, this is, we're saying 7 days or less, so this would be 2 weeks, but it doesn't have to take 2 weeks. It can take 2 hours. Make sense? And you get the 412.50. And how that breaks down is the 37.50 out of the standard version and 375 out of the 10X version. That's a total of 412.50. Now it's a subscription. Now, the reason why it's a subscription and the reason why that's ingenious is because your bills are subscription, right? So in order to offset residual or subscription bills or monthly obligations, you have to have a subscription type business in place. So here's how this works. Because you generate 412.50 in cash flow when you complete the 2 simple steps, this is why we say you don't have to come out of pocket again.
Yep.
You want to get this done before your 28-day subscription comes back around. So our subscription is not every 30 days, it's every 28 days. So you can get paid 13 times a year and not just 12.
Bakers a year.
Our game plan is for you to get it done in 2 weeks or less with our 7-day or less protocol, but it shouldn't take that long. But you definitely want to get it done before your subscription comes back around. And in the event that you don't, okay, let me tell you what happens. If you don't go ahead and get your your subscription covered with the 412.50, then you're going to have to basically pay the subscription again, or pay the difference, if you will. So let's say you came in at the 10X and you didn't get your 3 people in the 10X. Your subscription comes back around again. All right, you can do 1 of 2 things. One, you can go ahead and pay for your 10X subscription again, which would be $280, okay, plus exchange fees, and then you can stay in the 10X, all right, which I would suggest that you do. Or You don't get back into the 10X, and then what's going to happen, the system will take one of your three $28 tokens to keep you in the standard version for another 28 days automatically. Make sense? So now you're still in the standard version for another 28 days, even though you didn't accrue your 3 people in your first 28 days. You go through another 28 days, and let's say you still didn't get your identified 3 people. Guess what the system's going to do? It's going to take your second of your 3 tokens to keep you in the standard version. Again, for another 28 days. Make sense? See, the system, we want to see people win so badly that we still keeping them, we're trying to help you hold on to your dreams. So then let's say another 28 days goes around and you don't get your 3 people, then it's going to do the third and final token to keep you in a standard version for another 28 days so that you can identify your 3. Now, Charles, I'm getting ready to say to my head and not my heart. If after that you have not identified 3, then that means that you're not taking this very, very seriously. That this must not be for you. Maybe you're caught up in the diversification game, spinning a whole bunch of plays. I don't know what it is, but that means that this may not be for you. Now, I'm not suggesting that you quit, because there are some people that have gone longer than 90 or 120 days, but because of staying plugged in, because they know psychologically this thing makes the most sense about anything they've ever seen in their lives.
Okay, I'll stop it there because I'm one of those people. I've been in it way longer than 90 days, and I've managed to stay active. And actually, I've invited people. However, I have also seen how our thinking, how our habits of thinking, oftentimes for years and years, work and conspire against our own better attitudes. For a person to change their life, they're going to have to go into areas that they're not familiar. And our familiar patterns and habits is what got us where we are. And so if we don't have enough, and if we're used to not having enough, it's because of familiar ways of looking at things, familiar reasons for giving up, for whatever the reason is. And so while I am very confident, and the more I see how this system works, and the more I see the implications of succeeding within it, then, well, I've been moved to do other things, but I've stayed active, but I've also created some other tools, which I at least intend, and my purpose behind it, because it wasn't evident to me to do this before I started, but these are tools that people can use to self-assess and also to start changing on their own, so to speak. And that's the map of consciousness that I created. And we're not going to talk about that on this one because I'm already almost an hour and a half into this thing. I'm going to be finishing up with Greg here shortly, and we'll sum up. But the other thing are what I call love proclamations, because ultimately we've got to do some opening up within our own self of what ideas we're open to, what we imagine is possible, what we imagine is desirable, because a whole bunch of people are desiring a different quality of life experience, but they're not thinking it's possible enough, or they're thinking what's existing right now is too engraved to the point that they're not willing or not able, or everyone's able, but not all are willing. Okay, not all are permitting themselves to actually take a positive step. And one thing for sure, you cannot achieve any type of positive end without positive input. And so I've created some things to help along those lines, and which are not related or limited to this co-op activity whatsoever. When you start putting positive inputs into your imaginings, into your actions, into your attitudes, and everything else, a harmonizing attitude, everything benefits, not just your money. But we want to turn ourselves into magnets for wonderfulness to show up in our lives. But in so doing, we need to be wonderfulness ourselves. It starts with each of us.
they stay plugged in, and eventually they get it. It may take them 6 months, but they identify their 3 people. So I just want you guys to understand how the process works. So let's go back here to the subscription. So in the 10X, your monthly subscription is going to be $308 every 28 days. So that's $280 plus the $28 standard subscription. That adds to the 308. So when you get the 412.50 and you subtract your subscription, now you have $104.50 to the good. But as everyone's completing the 2 simple steps based on understanding the value of what it is that we're doing, the hindsight of how PayPal is able to grow its network, all right, by giving people one-offs, we all know now that this is predictable and unavoidable, that there's no reason why people can't win with this. It's going to continue to grow exponentially. So your money is going to continue to grow exponentially from that moment forward. And that's when you start seeing your money grow to, $2,500, $5,380, $17,910, $41,830. That's how it works. But everyone, focus on this right here. Get your 412.50, all right? Get your 412.50 out of the way quick. All right. And as everyone does that, this is the fundamental building blocks of us really creating the kind of success that we're looking to create. Okay. So I want to talk to you guys about building equity while creating the residual income as well. This is very, very important because it's one thing to create cash flow, but to create true wealth, generational wealth, you want to have equity in a business. You get to have that here with Co-op because you have a non-fungible token.
I'm gonna stop right there. In fact, this is all part of it too. We do have the non-fungible tokens and all those other things, but I want to tell you this, and the non-fungible token is part of the co-op system. And however, what you're creating is a flow of income and an ongoing flow of income, and you're doing it and replicating the experience with the people that you invite to join you in that activity and the people that they invite to join them in that activity. And I'll say this because I'm doing the presentation or talking right now. When I learned about this, when I joined it with Co-op Crowd, the non-fungible tokens was not a part of it, and it would still produce the income. When people joined, your wallet, your income in your wallet, your balance in your wallet went up. It still does. The developer, David Rosen, of this platform, a fellow who has made a whole bunch of money, and he's put his own money into funding and building the system. His vision, his passion, I'll say, is for this business, and that's his mindset. It's not mine. Having the flow of income is okay. These are places, you can. It's not a point of one being right or one being wrong. I'm grateful for what he has created, and I'm using what is part of. I'm grateful for Greg. Greg is an amazing guy. The point basically is that I see a greater value in exercising these other aspects of who we are, our imagination, our words. You start imagining different things. Our love. In fact, I have videos talking about that because, quite frankly, love is a integral part of the actual growth of the spirit, of the actual healing of the mind itself, of the emotions. Love that's not associated. You don't need someone you're outside of you to complete you. You need love within you to complete you, so to speak. And everyone has it. But we are a society that has standardized on so many activities where love is taken out of the equation. Common sense is taken out of the equation. And we are paying the price of it and not noticing the elephant that's not in the room, that should be there, okay? The heart that should be present. So we need to restore the heart to everything. We need to restore the heart to the way we do life, to the words that we say, to the thoughts. And the interesting thing, we need to help people and give them reasons to exercise that within their own life. Because as each does that, this is how we change the world. The world changes as we each change our world, our individual world. And you have to be, what kind of center are you in your world? Are you sucking life and light out of your system, or are you giving it to it? Good. I don't know. I guess I can't say that. I was thinking about our kitties. We have two cats, and you know, cats, you say have a mind of their own, but gosh, they're probably someone who's saying people, oh gosh, they probably think of people like cats because they got a mind of their own too, and people can act pretty stupid in spite of being as intelligent and powerful as we are. We act powerless because we see powerlessness being enacted by a lot of people, and most of the people who are doing the acting are being paid to do so. So, you don't know who is genuine until you can set certain things aside. You can't see esteem. So self-esteem, you can't see or measure with not with an instrument, but you can see a person. You can listen to them talk for a little bit. You can hear his attitudes or her attitudes, etc. And hey, Damien, and it's like you can know who is bringing their spirit, who is exercising it, who is being a light in a dark room. So we need to be the light, and the light is within us all. And I have so many other things. That's the one thing I do this somewhat extemporaneously, and I got so many things I can't share. But this co-op platform is something that anyone and each can use to change their financial aspect by building negotiable value assets, getting their own store of negotiable value assets. When you put the funds into the co-op system, you are receiving. And at some point in time, you can ask questions on how to do it and stuff. There are videos on doing that. And Greg has put an amazing system up called Smarter Than Money with a whole bunch of videos and everything else on that. And I think on my last one, I kind of covered there. Perhaps we'll do a video specifically about it. I have also created a Discord server where for the first time, I'm a newbie in creating communities, but I have created a community on Discord called Sacred Wealth. I've also created one called Consciousness, where we can talk about the concept of consciousness. Yesterday, I went out and did 4 videos on my map of consciousness, and in spite of having a really beautiful light and the river behind me and everything else, I had my cap on, and my eyes just kind of disappear, behind it. And so I'm thinking I'm going to reshoot it all, and I got to kind of talk it over it again, or I'll figure something out. But the map of consciousness is a tool that can be used for all aspects of life, not simply about money. Again, when we come from the right space, when we come from the right level, everything impacts, everything benefits. If we're thinking that money is the only way I can be happy and life can be well, or my health, then we're in the wrong state of mind. Okay, we're in a lack state of mind. We have to get into a substantial a state of mind of sufficiency is really what it boils down to. So that's what we're going to be doing. I created this Discord server with the idea of having a place where people can talk, where people can share positive thoughts and positive ideas. I have not cared for what is it? T. I figured as soon as I start, it's not what is it? Come on, come on. I'm looking at this app. Where the hell is it? Because I'm Telegram. Still didn't find it, but all of a sudden the word was right there. I couldn't find. I have I have donated to people on Telegram who misrepresented themselves and took uh, took possession, I'll say, of all of my crypto that I had in the given wallet after I gave them um, my passphrases. And so, and see, here's again, once you establish this flow within this co-op system, because people have to learn all of the other things, the pitfalls associated with the crypto space. I mean, they're thinking they're all set up and they're being told that all these landmines essentially are around, and yeah, they do exist. What they're not being told is essentially is that the system that they have been used to for all these years is an even bigger one. And if you sit tight and stay right where you are and you do things the way you've been doing things, well, you're going to be toast for someone. Okay. The point basically that is that with the co-op's wallet, first of all, the co-op wallet is kind of like being the eye of the hurricane. It's the center of the tornado. It's a peaceful place. All this crap is happening around, and it's happening, but it's not all crap. First of all, and by setting this co-op wallet up, this account, and putting some funds in it, now something is coming directly into yours and is coming in on a regular basis. No other system creates that kind of return for that amount of output. First of all, you put a thimble's amount of outcome input in, and you can get a planet's worth of outcome back. That nothing else does this. Now, it doesn't happen right away, but it don't have to happen or take that long, because right now it's a big conversation for people. They got to cogitate, they've got to marinate in their thinkings, they got to get over all of their built-in resistances and everything else. Some people have not seen the problem of these CBDCs. They haven't seen the effects of smart money because it's going to be smart, but not for your benefit. Okay. And so they don't see this stuff yet, even though the information is available. But once they do, they're going to be looking for something else. On the other hand, if you're making these decisions now to do this, because it doesn't cost that much, quite frankly, these conversations we can do Zoom calls, and Zoom calls are happening all the time right now. The locker room that we just watched with Greg, that's a Zoom call that's only with the members. But there are Zoom calls, co-op Zoom calls for new people. I can be happy to invite you to, but we can also set up co-op Zoom calls that I will lead, or Greg, I'll get Greg on, and we give you a presentation. But it'd be cool have people already coming on, talk to some people before, get 3 people up front. There's some people on Facebook, some ladies from the Netherlands and Belgium, who I guess they have a whole bunch of folks, but they learned about this maybe a few months ago now. But they've got a couple hundred people in there that, and so cool is that they coordinate with each other for a person to join, and then now you join, you join now, and they start building right away. Every time someone joins, and I say join, I also mean to funds, but every time someone funds, the person that invited them, as well as everyone in their lineage, is receiving. So you can see how your independent activity, wherever it is on the planet, once you start it and get it going, and people have the enthusiasm, they see the vision, they're sharing it, because everyone's got the need. It's not a question of if anyone needs it. Central banks around the world are planning these CBDCs. And so it's like when you can create a way that you've got income coming in, and I call them negotiable value assets because they are just that. It comes in, they are pegged to the value of a US dollar, whatever that dollar is worth at any given point in time. Even the CBDC is going to be worth a quote unquote US dollar. Okay. So what you're receiving is pegged to the value of a US dollar. So this becomes inflation resistant. This becomes deflation resistant, first of all, and it's protected and it's an ongoing flow. Once you get it started, you prime the pump and you got people who are passing on your enthusiasm and they are now seeing the issues and they're taking these steps. In the beginning, it's going to be have some time, but the more you do it and the more they do it, the time to make those decisions and make those connections will continue to go down. And as more and more people start seeing their incomes go up and their flow going up, and they can use their funds, their negotiable value assets, because no one's questioning whether Bitcoin will be around. And for that matter, even the stable coins, you know, the crypto space has been accepted in spite of the establishment's desire. They've been dismissive of it. They've called it scams. They've done all these things, including facilitated the takedown of so many exchanges and other things. And guess what? It still grows. That's because they are not running things. They want to run things. They want to influence you to stay where you are while they put and build their net that they want to put around your head and your around your mind. So I want to change things. I certainly see a desire and I desire. I set a standard of I want to have enough to do the things that I want when I want to do them, no matter how much it costs. And that is something that we're not used to. You want to buy a car, you got to go to borrow funds from someplace. You want to buy a home? Oh, you got to go to and you got to ask someone to do this, even if you even care to. You've got so many people who have not enough to pay for the increasing prices for everything. They don't even have enough to even keep a roof over their heads. And even the systems, some countries are do care enough about their people that they're saying, well, not having a home is just not an option. It's not acceptable. But they're not addressing the issue of supply, of sufficiency of supply. You and I, each of us, are going to have to address the question of sufficiency of supply of negotiable value assets. Okay, money to me today is an IP. It's the intellectual property of some particular group of people who manipulate it, and they've given themselves and are giving themselves even greater ability to manipulate it even more for their own favor. And so that's not acceptable to me. We got to, and instead of trying to fight that, not going to do that. But we have the ability to create something that is acceptable. And having a sufficient flow of monies or sufficient flow of negotiable asset values, okay, that is coming in that I can convert and I can use, I can interact with others same time, whether they're in co-op or not. That's the other thing. But if they are in co-op, we can interact with each other within the co-op ecosystem too. So these are the things that I feel can change things in a positive way, because I tend not to hear about much of anything that will actually have a positive change for anyone. If you're doing the investment thing, well, it's all you're in the point of you've got enough to play in that arena to have a therapeutic effect. You may lose a lot, but you also can gain a lot, so to speak. But the gains tend to be connected to someone else's loss. In this cooperative system, not involved at all. People are not losing in order for me to gain. We are all winning, so to speak. We're putting something in, the same amounts in, and we're all winning by doing just what Elon Musk did, getting, well, in this case, 3 people together to do just what we did, to bring 3 people in. That's all you have to do, as well as help those 3 too. So we receive help and we give help, and it's doable by anyone. So I'm going to call it at that. I want to thank you for hanging in there and watching and thinking about this. My co-op business referral link is in the notes of this video. But in addition to that, I'm going to give you my email address, or an email address you can reach me at. And we will use adam@loveishome.co. So adam@loveishome.co. You can write me directly there, because what I would like to do, in fact, and I will also add my Discord server. And again, I've not been a server runner. I mean, I've heard a lot of people talk about it and everything else, so I'm totally new at that. I don't know how much of a host I am, or whatever. However, I know this: people of like mind and heart is going, or is it's all I'm interested in, you know, entertaining, so to speak. So I will have ways in place for ensuring that people, first of all, are real and they're not bots. And in addition to that, um, I want to get to know people. And in fact, I'd love to have this as a place where people who join co-op, and this is also doable now. Greg has created a Smarter Than Money group on Telegram, and there's it's an active community there as well. Well, I'm interested in creating an active community as well. I mean, you're welcome to join the Smarter Than Money group on Telegram once you join. But we're talking about sacred wealth, and we're looking at wealth as something that includes money in the financial sense, but it includes everything else. Because once we get to this place, once we embrace this place within ourselves, our stress levels go down, our fear levels go down. We become more of who we are, and by doing and enabling this income flow, we start becoming able to do a whole bunch of things on without having to ask someone. And that's not necessarily where we're just going to walk out and just do this, that, and the other. But the ability to do so starts to change the consciousness of everything. We're talking the politics and the politicos who listen to folks who can grease their palms, and yet the people who send them there, excuse us, there are some things that have to change, but they won't change on their own. They will continue on the momentum of familiarity until we move into the area that we're not familiar with. And that's really the area of having enough to not need these folks. And also, that also includes the confidence, dedication, or whatever you want to say, to not accept BS and crap from people who it's all they're giving us. So this is where we start to make some substantive changes in the way things are done. So with that, I really love. It's funny how I can get in that zone and I just forget about my little background, but it's kind of nice to have that happening. So with that, I want to thank you for watching and hanging in. I invite you to find those links if this is of interest to you, or write me to the address I mentioned, adam@loveishome.co, and we can talk about more that needs to be talked about. Otherwise, till next time, I'm going to say peace. Be well, be prosperous, and healthy. And I love you all. See you now.